Okay. So is it visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us see how we all are connected. Okay. So why biodiversity is so important for us? What is the meaning of biodiversity and why nature is so important to us? Okay. Is it visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So did you see the similarity in the nature and human being? Of course, some similarity is captured, but if you really see that in many ways we are a part of nature and very close to nature, and many things are very similar way that other animals and flora and fauna appear in the nature. So biodiversity, what is this? It is the Earth's primary life support system. So biodiversity is important for the survival of human being. What do we mean by biodiversity? What is the meaning of diversity? Can anybody see? Yes. What is the meaning of diversity?
So somewhat like no boundaries.
Yes. Esa, can you repeat?
So something like no boundaries.
No. Okay. You people are commerce students, right? So you just tell me what is the meaning of diversified income? Distributed income? Anybody else?
Sir, receiving the income from the different sectors from where the money is invested.
Okay, Vipul. Fine. So when we say India is a place where unity in diversity, what does that mean? Anybody?
So people from different religions, different cultures come together, stand united.
Right. So diversity means it's different, it's sporadic, it's a diversified income in the sense when the income is from multiple sources. Okay, it's not one. Like that, when we say biological diversity, that means the spread of flora and fauna in an ecosystem, in the community, in a biosphere. Okay, so biodiversity of earth in the sense the different varieties, different species of plants and animals, flora and fauna that are available. So we call it biodiversity. So it refers to the numbers, variety, and variability of living organisms and ecosystems. Okay, so there can be different varieties or variability of organisms and different type of ecosystems also. Okay, did you get the point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it includes what type of ecosystem we have already discussed: terrestrial ecosystem, marine ecosystem, in the sense saltwater ecosystem. Okay, and other aquatic ecosystem. What are other aquatic ecosystems? Yes.
Sir, ponds, rivers, lakes.
Right, very good, people. So it's ponds, river, lake, all these are other marine ecosystem. It also covers diversified with species. So, you know, cow is one species, human is one species, but you look at the diversity. There, if you go to the tribal, you will find people are different looks and types and variety. If you go to South India, you will find different type of. If you go to the North India, if you go to western part, eastern part, you will find species is same. Homo sapiens means we all are human being, but diversified. If you go to Africa, you will find different type of people. If you go to Europe, you will find different kind of people. Okay, that is diversity. Like there are diversity in human being, there are diversity in animal, plants, and other organisms too. So it is the variation that is available in different ecosystem, in different climatic zone, in different, again, the food crops you are getting means why you are getting broccoli in one season. Why apple is not native to Odisha, or why we don't grow strawberry profusely over here. So there are diversified plants and animals catered to a particular place. As we discussed, that few animals and plants that can live in desert, in tundra, but not every type of organisms, right? Because they can accommodate to a particular type of ecosystem. Are you all clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Like if you go to Chilka, in a particular season, you'll find a lot of migratory birds are coming there. But in other season, you'll find they are not. Because the diversity is available in a particular season from different continents together. They fly thousands of kilometers to come to a particular place, that particular place remain as their habitat for a certain time period. After that, they again go back. So now we'll be discussing the types of diversity. What are the types of diversity? One is species diversity. What does you mean by species diversity? Just now we
Different
discussed.
species.
Different kind of species.
Right. Different kind of species. Number of plants and animal species present in a community. Like, let's say, for example, you go to a park nearby, okay, and you want to understand what are the different type of species available over there. How do you know? Anybody? How do you understand? How do you know that what type of plants and animals are available? By just observing, right? So if you go to a park, you will find there are grasses, there are bushes, there are flowering plants, there are some fruit trees. So by observing, you can also find there are small organisms, like you will find butterfly, you will find moth, you will find different small insects, frogs. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So then you may not know all the types of plants, varieties of insects or animals that is present. If you go to the bigger park, like or like maybe if you go to the Ekamra Canal, it is those are from Bhubaneswar, they must be knowing that if in the morning you go, even you will be able to see peacocks sometime. Sometimes you can see a number of other varieties of birds available over there. So the bigger the ecosystem, the number of species are used. You can find, sometimes I have also seen deer in that place. So because it is adjacent to a natural ecosystem, the park is adjacent to a natural ecosystem. Okay, so you can find huge number of species if the ecosystem is very natural. Even if you go to a grassland, you can observe there are different type of species. So what is the genetic diversity? Yes. Okay. Very good. 52. Kirti. Okay. So is the variety in the genetic makeup among an individual within species. So there are different genetic character because of which somebody is short, somebody is long, somebody is fair, somebody is dark. Okay. Okay. What is ecosystem diversity?
So it is the variety of habitats found in
Places.
India.
Okay. Such as your forest, aquatic ecosystem, desert, grassland, and all. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So can you please repeat what did you say?
So it is the variety of habitats found in an area.
Okay, Aniket, right. Fine. So what is habitat stress? Yes, anybody?
So extreme weather
Extreme
conditions.
climate conditions.
Extreme weather condition. Okay. What else? Okay. 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 So if the habitat is not suitable for a plant, an animal, or any species, then it is called the habitat stress. It can be due to many reasons. Like you must be knowing that if there is regular natural calamities in area, means like flood, drought, or cyclone, or earthquake, like Japan is prone to earthquake. Okay, those are called habitat stress. What is geographical isolation?
So isolated regions, like they get separated from the mainland.
Okay, Anindita, right. So Anindita, it is roll number 21.
So one.
1. Okay, fine. Please write your roll number properly. Just write 1, then underscore your name, Anandita. Okay, fine. So there are few factors that determine degree of diversity, whether diversity is low in a place or it is high. So out of that, we discuss one is habitat stress, other is geographical isolation, and the third is dominance by one species. So dominant by one species, let's say some varieties of plant or animal you introduce to a particular place, and that plant or animal become dominant in that area. So that will consume a disproportionate share of the resources. So that will grow very fast, and that will not let other species to grow as usual. Okay, so for example, like you take eucalyptus, okay, or take any other plant or animal species that is introduced to a place, and that keeps on rising so fast that create imbalance in the ecosystem. So that is called dominant species. You will find a lot of eucalyptus plant in Odisha because it was introduced mechanically by the government. But there are consequences because of that. So we also have discussed previously what is age effect. Okay, when there is mix of two type of ecosystem, whether transition areas between two ecosystem, like a terrestrial ecosystem in aquatic ecosystem, and when they join together in some place, that is also a place where diversity is high. So old and stable ecosystem, like we have discussed, that 2% of rainforest contain more than 50% of biological diversity. So old and stable ecosystem which is not disturbed like rainforest. So those places possess high diversity. So what are the ecosystem services? Can anybody say the meaning of ecosystem services?
Like the resources it provides.
Yes.
The resources it provides.
Okay, Hansraj. So the resources it provides. For example, Hansraj.
So like
Food for
water, food,
Okay, water, food, fine.
air,
What
the
else?
fear, the seeds,
Amandeep. Okay. Hansraj, what is your roll number? Is it?
45.
But you have written 42, I guess.
No. 45 Hansraj हो गया.
Okay, fine. So we'll see what type of So can you see what are the services that we get? What are the economic services? Okay. Are you clear what all services we get? Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what type of services? First is economic services. So we get food, fuel, timber, paper,
Medicines.
medicine. Then genetic resources such as seeds, useful microbes. Then second is ecological services. Then biodiversity is also aesthetic and ethical values. And the best thing is that these services we get are free of cost. So what we need to do? We have to save the existing natural resources, the existing biodiversity. So the estimated value of ecosystem services are worth more than 36 trillion US dollar per every year. So estimated range of species from 4 million to 100 million inhabit in this earth. So we do have certainly very less amount of knowledge on that. But what is important, you know or you don't know, the important is to save the habitat, to save the biodiversity, to save the species. Until unless the diversity exists, then the food chain will be disturbed, the food web will be disturbed. Knowingly, unknowingly, if some flora and fauna is out of the food chain and food web, then it is going to create a problem in the ecosystem. There will be imbalance. So that's why biodiversity and its conservation is important for us. So human activities are leading to a rapid extinction of many species because we are doing deforestation, we are settling the cities, we are taking water out of the water bodies, then we are using all type of, we are indulge in all type of anthropogenic activities to capture the plants and animals, to extract the resources. So 99.9% of all species that ever lived on the earth are now extinct. So it's from the starting of the earth till now, whatever species have been, out of that almost 99.9% of the species have been extinct. So now we'll see what are the locations of all the biodiversity. So 50 to 75% of the species are found in tropical moist forest. But tropical moist forests are just 6% of the land area, existing land area. So as we know that biodiversity is lower where? In colder region and in place where it is hot. So here we can see the most biodiversity nation of the world. Fortunately, India is among one of those places. Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So many of the plants that we eat today in whatever the developed countries eat, that originated in the developing countries. Potato originated where? In South America. Rice? Wheat? Do you know the place of origin? Wheat in Turkey and Afghanistan. Beans in Central America. Coffee in Ethiopia. Cucumber, soya, orange in China. Rice in India. So where is all biodiversity? Mostly biodiversity is in the developing countries, in tropical forests. And many of those places are not fully explored and documented. Biodiversity is under threat. India is a mega biodiversity country. So all over world there are 19 mega biodiversity countries and India is among one of them. But the problem is that India's biodiversity is now under serious threat. So you can see the 2014 IUCN Red List, International Union for Conservation of. You'll find that they have evaluated more than 76,000 species. So 4,500 species of mammal, birds and amphibians deemed at risk of extinction. So they are in the verge of disappearing from the earth. So once they have gone, those species cannot come back. So government is too much worried of tiger projects, this and that. Why? Because once the tiger species is extinct, can we bring back a natural tiger?
No, sir.
No, sir.
That is why for any species, we need to be careful before it is extinct, before the last animal or plant or bird is dead. So every single day we could be losing in between 100 to 200 species. So now we'll be discussing on categories of threatened species. Okay, so one is vulnerable species. So what are the vulnerable species? Which are facing high risk of extinction in the wild, means in the natural habitat, in its natural habitat. If it is getting extinction faster, then it is vulnerable species. Example, hippopotamus. More serious is endangered species. A species considered to be facing a very high risk of extinction in the wild, then it is called endangered species. Example is peregrine falcon. And more problematic is the critically endangered species, a species facing an extremely high risk of extinction in its wild or in natural habitat. Like that, one species is mountain gorilla, orangutan. So what is keystone species? Can anybody say what is keystone species? No?
So
Sir,
the
affecting
space.
Yes, Payal?
sir, they play roles affecting many other organisms in the ecosystem.
How?
So,
Okay, we'll try, Payal. So we'll see.
Sir, the major species in an ecosystem,
Okay, Avranil. Yes.
like in that particular ecosystem, that particular species holds the most significance.
Good. Okay. So,
So can I give an example?
yes, sir.
Animals who are herbivorous, so they depend on plants for their livelihood. So they will make sure that the plants, off season, they do not shed their leaves or they do not die. They will make sure of that thing.
Okay. Good. So, yes, sir, did you join late today?
Yes, I was late today.
Okay. Next time, please join on time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, keystone species play roles affecting many other organisms in the ecosystem. So because they determine a balance in the ecosystem. So when a keystone species became extinct, it could result in the disturbance in the ecosystem. For example, the gray wolf or the tiger, they are carnivorous. If the population of these animals reduces or it comes down, then it results in the increase of the herbivorous animal. For example, deer, rabbit, and others. So that will result, what will happen when the population of those animals will increase, so they will rapidly eat the vegetation. So that there will be a grazing pressure on the flora of that area. So that's why those keystone species are very important to survive. Are you all clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, people. So, and the other one is sentinel species. So species that are very sensitive indicator of environmental problem. So you see that problem is happening to that species, means that is an early indicator that we have to be careful, or else it is going to be problem in future.
So
Okay.
salmon fish, for example.
Yes, right. So what are the biodiversity hotspots? So any area which is means universally rich in biodiversities, rich of flora and fauna, and it is under constant threat of over exploitation, is called biodiversity hotspot. So there are 25 such biodiversity hotspots? So you can read the story Disappearing Frogs, early warning from a sentinel species. That story is in your book. Can anybody read this? This is an important one. So small one also.
Sir, can I?
Yes, please.
Why should we worry about mere frogs? Frogs and other amphibians are sentinel species. That is, they are very sentinel indicators of environment problems. They give us early warning of problems that could potentially affect other species. Amphibians are organisms that can live both on land and in water. Includes frogs, tadpoles, and salamanders. There are 5,100 known species of amphibians, from small frogs to big salamanders. Since frogs species live in small, specialized habitats, they are indicators of the environmental conditions in a variety of places.
Okay. Thank you. So can you please continue?
Frogs breathe through moist, absorptive, and permeable
Permeable.
skins that are sensitive to. Sir, it's hidden, sir.
Okay, okay.
That
Yes.
to pollutants in the environment. They lay gelatinous and unprotected eggs in ponds, and they are very vulnerable to radiation and pollution. Hundreds of amphibian species are vanishing or declining everywhere. According to IUCN, 25% of all known species are extinct, endangered, or vulnerable. In the US, 92 of the 242 native amphibian species are in decline. Worldwide, 32 species have become extinct in the last few decades, and more than 200 species are in decline.
Okay. So the decline is not restricted to areas where there is a clear degradation of the environment or high level of pollution. It is happening even in remote areas, in pristine environment, and also in protected parks and reserves. In 1995, a group of school children in Minnesota, US discovered a large number of deformed frogs in a pond. In fact, 50% of the leopard frogs in the pond were deformed, while the standard deformed rate is just 1%. Soon there were similar reports from most other parts of the US. Deformed frogs die early before they can reproduce, thus leading to a decline in number. So scientists believe that several reasons together are causing problem with frog species. Agricultural pesticide in the water, increase in the ultraviolet radiation in the atmosphere, infectious diseases, parasites, habitat loss, alien predators, and other such factors could be acting together on the amphibian population. They have survived climate change before, but the current change are accelerating too rapidly for the frog species to keep pace. The rapid disappearance of the tough but sensitive amphibians indicates a general deterioration of the global environmental health conditions. Furthermore, the adult amphibians play an essential role in ecosystem. This means that when they die of pesticide poisoning, many organisms like reptiles and birds that eat them will also get affected. So what are the causes of biodiversity loss?
Soil degradation.
Right.
Impacts of invasive alien species on ecosystem.
Yes.
Change and acidification.
Pollution.
Pollution.
Climate change.
Yes.
So weathering.
Right. So climate change, pollution, anthropogenic activities, overexploitation of resources are some of the causes of biodiversity loss. So habitat loss, degradation and fragmentation, commercial hunting, poaching, man and wildlife conflict like elephant with tigers, with few more other animals which come to the nearby human community. That is the cause of fight between wildlife and man. So it is a very nice story that is in your book, Hunted Till Extinction in Japan, how this fish is, blue whale is hunted. You must read that story. There is another story of climate change and biodiversity. Do you read the stories? No? So there are also good career opportunities related to bioinformatics, related to biodiversity, like bioinformatics, where both biology and computer science is used. So genetics, genomics course, and starting from statistical instruments and computer modeling, these things, computer database, communication information, and all these are important. So why we need to careful, why we need to care? The mass extinction that is now underway could be the biggest of our environmental problem. The loss of biodiversity is irreversible. We could push back the desert, restore the topsoil, and allow the ozone layer to repair in a century or so. But can we restore the biodiversity? we could restore climate change, stability in the wake of global warming. But once a species is gone, it is gone forever. We cannot restore it. That's why it is important to restore the flora and fauna that we do have. So we'll summarize this. The Earth's biodiversity is its primary life support system and vital to our survival. Ecosystem provide invaluable services to us that is absolutely free of cost. That includes economic, ecological, and cultural services. Our knowledge on biological diversity, our knowledge on the existing flora and fauna are very much limited. We don't know exactly what is connected to what, so it's better to not disturb the existing diversity. Most of the biodiversity exists in the tropical rainforest, developing countries, and also in India. India is one of the mega diversity. Biological extinction goes on all time, and most of the species that ever lived are now extinct. 5 mass extinctions have occurred so far, and the 6th one is underway due to several human-induced reasons. Man is only one species, but it works on using the total resources that is in the earth. That is the problem. Who can answer this question? Which of the following statement is not true? So whenever you will be answering your MCQs in
The second.
your exam.
Second.
Second.
Yes?
Not necessary for human survival.
Biodata is not
Okay.
necessary.
Okay. What happened? So in between 6 students have left. When we visit forest and enjoy its beauty, which kind of value are we placing on biodiversity? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you answer this?
Sir, is it 2A an aesthetic value?
Aesthetic value?
Yes, sir.
Yes, may I know who answered this?
Sir, Payal.
Roll number?
62.
62. Very good. Roll number 62. Okay. Who can answer this? Which of the following statement about the world species is not correct?
So we have identified first.
Option
1.
One.
Yes.
The one.
Is it who told it? Is it roll number?
Option 1, sir. Roll number 27.
One.
Sir,
Option one.
6.
Roll number 29.
Sir, 6.
Roll number 6 and 27.
29.
Okay. 6 and 27 and roll number 27, roll number 6 and roll number 28.
So 29.
29. Atishay. Okay. Is it visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, in the poorer countries.
Yes. Who is the person who
The Payal.
actually
62.
Payal. Okay, Payal. Okay, now we'll go to the biodiversity conservation. So, what is biodiversity conservation?
How to
Upliftment and management of
save our biodiversity?
Yes.
How
Sir,
to save our
upliftment and
biodiversity?
management of biodiversity.
Okay. Yes. Can you please repeat?
Preservation part.
Preservation, right?
Yes, sir.
So, how can we conserve biodiversity?
The proper management of resources.
Proper management of resources. What else?
Afforestation.
Afforestation. What else?
So increasing awareness among the common peoples.
Very good. Increasing awareness. Vipul.
Controlling pollution.
Apurva. Yes, Apurva.
By protecting animals.
By protecting animals. Okay.
Controlling pollution.
Controlling pollution.
Sustainable development.
Sustainable development, Hansraj. It's a very broad idea. Particularly if you want to save or conserve the biodiversity, what you will do? Yes. We have to save the flora and fauna, right? The living beings in any form, right?
All the varieties of food and microbes should be conserved, sir.
Right, Prachi. What is your roll number?
65, sir.
You have not written 65. Only
I'll write,
Prachi there.
sir.
Okay.
So then deforestation should also be
Okay. So there need to be strict laws, policies, right?
Yes,
And
sir. Environmental
it has to be
laws.
implemented.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
level of pollutants should also be reduced, sir.
Level of pollutants need to be reduced. Okay. So at individual capacity, what you can do to improve or to protect the biodiversity? Okay, I'll give you an example. You can change your food habits. Rather than depending on only a particular fruit or vegetables, if you keep on eating diversified food, then there will be demand for those food, those grains. Okay. So have you, any one of you eat foxtail millet, ragi, and this finger millets, small millets? There are different type of millets. There are different type of grains. There are different type of vegetables. So when you consume different varieties of things, then there will be demand for those things, though. So people will cultivate those things. It's the one thing that I told, how there will be improve in the biodiversity. We keep on eating only one variety of rice. If you learn, there will be thousands varieties of rice available. So like that, if you do have a garden, you can plant diversified. If you do have piece of land at your backyard, you can develop some plant species over there. Once plant will grow, insects, animals will come. So in that way, even in an urban setup, you can help the biodiversity to grow, to remain at your place. Are you all clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you read this story on Olive Ridley. This is a story on Odisha, India. So have you, any one of you has read this story?
No,
No?
sir.
Okay. Please read this. So Odisha is one of the mass nesting site for olive ridley, hosting as much as 50% of the world's olive ridley population. Gahirmatha beach supports perhaps the largest nesting population, with an average of 4 lakh female nesting in a given year. So they come to Gahirmatha, they lay their eggs, and they go back to the sea. So they come to the coast in every year in the month of October, November, and a turtle nest up to 3 times per season, typically producing 100 to 110 eggs on each occasion. So thousands of turtle migrate annually to Odisha coast. Threats during journey include sea marine garbage, oil spills, and toxic chemicals. They lay millions of eggs on beach. Thousands get destroyed. Many hatchling die. Turtle caught by trawler blades or caught in fishing net. That is the problem that they are facing. So there are limited attempts to protect the turtle. But it is a specific type of varieties of turtle which need to be taken care of. What is the status of global biodiversity? So humankind has been interfering with the system too much. So they have caught many of the links in the web by destroying seeds with unknown consequences. So even if we are overestimating biodiversity loss, it is clear that the rate of extinction has gone up sharply due to anthropogenic activities. So we are losing more species than ever before. So instead of arguing over the numbers or waiting to get reliable data, we must take precautionary steps to prevent further loss. So this is not the time for debate whether these numbers are correct or not. Rather than we need to take the precautionary measures at the earliest. So there are two types of conservation that is very much important in this chapter. There are few points that I have already told, that key points at the end of your book. Those are not at the end, at the beginning of your chapter. You must learn and you must understand those points. Do you understand what point I am talking about? Anybody? Have you seen your book?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For example, you take the first chapter. Okay. So in ecosystem, let's say you take the third chapter, you will find that in the page number 33, there is keywords and phrases written. Those keywords and phrases you must understand. Okay. So like that, in situ conservation, what is in situ conservation, what is ex situ conservation, that we'll be discussing now. So conservation, what is conservation first? Conservation ranges from protecting the population of species to preserving entire ecosystem. So it's the conservation of the flora, fauna, microbes, all living organisms in the ecosystem is otherwise known as conservation of biodiversity of a certain area. So in situ conservation is the conservation happens in its natural ecosystem. Okay. For example, national park and reserves. So what happens for a certain forest or an ecosystem that is declared as national park? So poaching, hunting, and moving inside and disturbing the ecosystem without permission is prohibited. So we let the plants and animals grow in their natural setup as it is. That is not a modified, or that is not any artificial system. Rather than that is a natural ecosystem. So in situ means on place, where it is, there only it will happen. But whereas ex situ conservation is you are creating a artificial ecosystem like the natural ecosystem, but it is not natural, but it is a man-made ecosystem. So in that habitat, you are conserving those plants and animals. For example, you go to the zoo, you will find tiger, you will find birds, you will find deer and other animals, but an artificial ecosystem is created for them. They have been provided with food, water, and a place to reside. But that cannot be exactly as a wild animal or plant grows in its natural ecosystem. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Like botanical garden, aquarium, seed bank, whatever. Rest we'll discuss in our next class. If you do have some doubts, please tell me. Can you all please come live? Let me take a screenshot. 45 students are present. Good. Roll number 1, roll number 27, 62, Prachi.
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you all here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. 27.
Yes, sir.
Let me take the screenshot because okay. So okay. 1 minute. All of you remain online for 1 minute so that okay. Next, roll number 2. You change the style of writing your roll number and name. You just write 2 and
Okay,
then
sir.
your name.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I hope P. Pavani, you are not online. Means you are not live. Neil Biswas, many of you are not live. Okay. So if you do have some doubt, please, please text me in your group. Okay. Fine. Okay, bye. We'll meet in the next class. So next class we'll be discussing on the next chapter. That is your natural, renewable and non-renewable resources and a part of this. Okay. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.